Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be talking through the books that I want to read in the month of May. Now once again I'm going to set quite a low target and hopefully read more than what is on this list, because I do know that I'm a bit of a mood reader, so I will throw in just random books now and then, but these are the main ones that I want to get to. So the first book that I want to read I actually was going to take on holiday with me and it literally wouldn't fit in my bag, so I swapped it out for another book that is very similar. And that is Words on My Matter by Ursula Le Guin. The one that I took on holiday with me was a paperback, which is called No Time to Spare. And this one is a hardback, the edition that I have. So yeah, it just wouldn't fit in my bag, so I figured, oh, I'll just read it in May. And this is kind of a collection of reviews and essays by Ursula Le Guin, very similar to No Time to Spare, which I have got a review for in my April wrap-up. That was a collection of blog posts and writings by Le Guin. So this is very similar, it's still a non-fiction, but it's focusing more on literature as opposed to personal life. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this. I do really like Le Guin's writing and really like seeing that kind of non-fiction side of her, and the way that her voice comes through her writing is very interesting to me. So it'll be a really nice non-fiction read for May, and the front cover is very kind of springy and summery as well, which is nice. The next book that I'd like to read is The Leviathan by Rosie Andrews. I picked this up from Waterstones because the edition was beautiful, it's got sprayed edges and it's hardback, and I just found the synopsis to be very interesting. So it's set in 1643 and we're following Thomas Treadwater, and he's going home to see his father because he's heard about some stuff that's been going on. And his father has had a stroke, I believe, and the person that was supposed to be looking after him, the servant, has actually been imprisoned and accused of witchcraft. So there's some slightly spooky and weird stuff going on, and while Thomas is trying to figure out what's happening, he actually uncovers the mystery of a shipwreck that happened ages ago and releases something kind of dark and ancient. I have no idea what this is going to be about, whether it's going to be like a serpent thing or a kraken thing, or I've not got a clue, but I'm really interested in reading it, and it looks like it's going to be quite a fun dark fantasy. And again, it was the cover that drew me in because it's absolutely beautiful. The next book that I'd like to read is also a fantasy, and that is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. This is linked into the A Song of Ice and Fire series, which I have completed up to the books that have been released, at least. So this is kind of a side story, and it is set a century before the first book, which is A Game of Thrones. And we're following a hedge knight called Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg, who is actually Aegon Targaryen in disguise, and that is all I know. I don't want to read any further than that on the synopsis, but I feel like it's going to be a very interesting kind of character-based story, and will give us a bit of history into the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, the land of Westeros, and the history surrounding the Iron Throne as well, and the Targaryens, which I don't know a lot about. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this, and I do also have the other book. I think it's called Fire and Blood. I'll correct myself on the screen. I do have that to read as well, but I figured this one is a little bit smaller and probably a little bit easier to read. So to sink myself back into George R.R. Martin's writing, I figured I'd read this one first. And we're sticking with fantasy, but going for more of a sci-fi take on it with the next book, which is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I really have heard many mixed reviews for this book, and that's why I have been putting it off for so long. I believe I got it for my birthday, if not for Christmas, like 2 years ago. So I've had it for a really long time, but it's high time that I read it. So we're following this society that is colour-coded, and we're following someone who is part of the Red faction. And the Red faction are basically working together to create a livable and habitable surface on Mars. But the main character then finds out that actually the surface of Mars has been that way for many years, and they've just been working towards absolutely nothing. So there's a lot of kind of deceit and lies in this. I again don't know too much about it. I do kind of want to go in with a clear head, but I'm interested to see how I feel about it, because like I say, there's been so many mixed reviews. Loads of people say it's absolutely awful, and then loads of people say that it's really good. And I've heard that as the series kind of progresses, the books get better and better. So we'll see how I feel about this one, and then that will determine whether I continue with the series or not. But I thought it'd be quite a easy but interesting read, and it sounds like it has a really good kind of backstory, and sounds like it'll be quite gripping as well. And then the next couple of books are part series that I have just started. So we've got the second book in the Farseer trilogy, which is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is a fantasy series following our main character Fitz, and in the first book we're following him as he kind of develops his magical abilities. He can communicate with animals, and there's also this thing called the skill where you communicate with people. So I have no idea what the second book is about, but I am excited to continue on in that journey and see where the other characters go as well, because at the moment my favourite character is the Fool, so I'm interested to see where he lands up in the story. And then the other two books that we've got are actually part of the A Pinch of Magic series. I said I was going to read these in April, but I just didn't have time. I've got the third book with me at the moment, and that is A Tangle of Spells, and then I've got the other one which is called A Storm of Sisters, I believe. And this is a, I would say, children to YA series following three sisters and kind of the magical mischief that they get up to, living in this place which is very inspired by kind of corvids and birds. And I really like the element of this story. I think it's very magical, and I really like the relationship between the three sisters as well. They're very well developed, and there's always really good morals and stories within the books, as far as I've read anyway. So yeah, I'd really like to read those two final books in that series. And that is it. That's my TBR for the month of May. Please let me know if you've read any of these. Also let me know what is the most anticipated book on your reading list for this month. But yeah, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.